You are not part of this family anymore. You are out of the will." My father looked me dead in the eye and erased me from his life across the Christmas dinner table. He did not scream. He did not hesitate. He just cut me off because I finally refused to be their bank account. I did not cry. I reached under my chair, pulled out the heavy black box I had brought, and set it right in the center of the table. "Merry Christmas," I said. Then I pushed back my chair and walked out, leaving them alone with the evidence that was about to cost them everything. Before I tell you what was inside that box and how it destroyed his life, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? And what time is it for you right now? I want to see how far this story travels. That black box did not contain a bomb. It contained 3 weeks of my life, condensed into a stack of papers that would turn my mother from a socialite into a federal inmate. My name is Sully. I am 28. And I do not get mad. I get evidence. To understand why I walked out of that dinner, you have to go back to 11:42 p.m. 3 weeks ago. I was not sleeping. I was sitting in my home office, bathed in the blue light of 3 monitors, watching a crime happen in real time. My phone buzzed with a transaction alert from the family trust. Withdrawal. $9,500. Most people would see a random number. I saw a felony. In the world of forensic accounting, we call it structuring, or smurfing. It is the act of intentionally breaking up a large sum of money into smaller transactions, specifically under the $10,000 reporting threshold, to hide it from the IRS. It requires intent. It requires calculation. And my mother, Malia, was doing it with my money. I pulled up the ledger. She had done it yesterday, the day before, and twice last Friday. In total, she had drained $85,000 in less than a month. She was not just stealing. She was laundering funds to pay for my cousin Savannah's dream wedding venue, assuming I was too busy or too stupid to notice. I hovered my finger over the freeze account button. I could have stopped it right then. I could have called her, screamed, and saved my inheritance. But if I stopped her now, it was just a family dispute. It was just a civil lawsuit she could cry her way out of. I moved my hand away from the mouse. I needed the total to hit 100,000. I needed her to cross the line from mismanagement to grand larceny and money laundering. So, I sat back in my chair, took a sip of cold coffee, and let the transaction clear. I was not going to save her. I was going to let her dig the hole deep enough to bury herself. The venue was called the Glass Estate, a modernist nightmare perched on a cliffside in Malibu. I drove up the winding private road, my hands steady on the wheel, watching the ocean crash against the rocks far below. It was beautiful, isolated, and completely inescapable. Just the way my mother liked things. People always ask why I did not just tell someone. Why I did not go to my aunts or my cousins and say, "She is stealing from me." They assume abuse is loud. They assume it leaves bruises, or involves screaming matches in the kitchen. But Malia did not operate like that. She did not use fists. She used concern. We call it the prison of fake concern. It started when I was 18 and wanted access to my trust fund for college. Malia did not say no. She just sighed, looked at my aunt with teary eyes, and whispered, "I am so worried about Sully. She has been erratic lately. The doctors say she cannot handle stress. If we give her that money, she might hurt herself." She planted the seeds of my insanity so deep that even I started looking for the cracks. To the outside world, she was not a thief. She was the saintly mother protecting her fragile, unstable daughter. If I got angry, it was an episode. If I demanded my rights, I was off my meds. If I tried to leave, I was a danger to myself. She built a cage out of pity and locked me inside, holding the key of conservatorship just out of reach. That is why I was alone. To speak against her was to prove I was crazy. I pulled up to the valet. The house loomed ahead, walls made entirely of glass, revealing the party inside like an ant farm. I could see them all, the family that pitied me, the friends who thought I was a charity case. And there was Savannah. My cousin was standing near the entrance, holding a glass of champagne, laughing at something a waiter said. She was wearing a custom silk gown that shimmered like pearl dust. I knew exactly how much that dress cost because I had seen the withdrawal for it on my monitor 3 days ago. $12,000. She was wearing my money. She was wearing my stolen future. I stepped out of the car. The wind up here was fierce, whipping my hair across my face. I did not smooth it down. I walked straight toward the glass doors. Malia spotted me instantly. She was holding court near the bar, looking elegant in navy blue. Her eyes narrowed for a fraction of a second, a glitch in the matrix before the mask slammed back into place. She rushed toward me, arms open wide, performing the role of the loving mother for her audience. "Sully, you made it!" she cried out, pulling me into a suffocating hug. The smell of her expensive perfume filled my nose. triggering a gag reflex I barely suppressed. To the room, it looked like a warm embrace. But as she pressed her cheek against mine, her voice dropped to a hiss only I could hear. You look tired, darling. If you say one word about money tonight, I will have Dr. Eris sign the commitment papers before the cake is cut. Do you understand me? I pulled back and smiled, cold and sharp. I understand perfectly, Mother. Come with me, Malia said, her grip on my arm tightening just enough to bruise. We need a moment. Just mother and daughter. She steered me away from the bar, flashing a dazzling smile at a passing waiter. To the guests, it looked like affection. To me, it felt like being marched to the gallows. She led me toward the infinity room, a soundproof glass cube cantilevered over the cliff edge, designed for VIPs to watch the sunset in silence. As the heavy glass door sealed shut behind us, the noise of the party vanished. The laughter, the music, the clinking of crystal, it was all gone. It was just the two of us, suspended over the ocean in a silent, transparent cage. The guests could see us perfectly, but they could not hear a word. You have 5 minutes, Malia said. Her face did not change. She kept a pleasant, neutral expression for the audience outside, but her eyes went dead. She reached into her clutch and pulled out a folded document, smoothing it onto the glass table between us. It was not a greeting card. It was a permanent conservatorship agreement. I know you have been looking at the accounts, Sully. I know you think you are clever. But you are not a forensic accountant tonight. You are a patient. She placed a second item on the table. A manila envelope marked confidential, Dr. Eris. Dr. Eris has been very thorough, she purred. He has documented your episodes for the last 6 months. The paranoia, the financial delusions, the threats of self-harm. According to this file, you are currently in a state of acute psychosis. I stared at the envelope. It was a masterpiece of fiction. I had never met Dr. Eris, but Malia had been paying him using my money to build a paper trail that proved I was insane. Here is the deal, she said, tapping the conservatorship agreement with a manicured nail. You sign this, voluntarily transferring control of the trust to me for your own safety, and you go home. We tell everyone you were not feeling well. And if I do not? I asked, keeping my voice trembling, low, and scared. I needed her to feel powerful. I needed her to overplay her hand. Malia leaned in, her smile widening for the benefit of the watching crowd. If you do not, I waved to those 2 nice officers by the entrance. I show them Dr. Eris's assessment stating you are an immediate danger to yourself. They will place you on a 5150 involuntary psychiatric hold. You will leave this party in handcuffs, strapped to a gurney, screaming that your mother is a thief. She paused, savoring the cruelty of it. Who will they believe, Sully? The frantic girl claiming a conspiracy? Or the heartbreakingly concerned mother with a board-certified doctor's note? It was a perfect trap. If I screamed, I proved her point. If I fought, I proved her point. The only way out was submission. My breath hitched. I looked at the party outside, the people eating my food, drinking my wine, oblivious to the fact that I was being held hostage in plain sight. I looked at Savannah, spinning in her stolen dress. You planned this, I whispered, letting a tear slip out. I protected us, she corrected. She pushed a heavy Mont Blanc pen toward me. Sign it. Do not make a scene. Just be a good girl, and give me what is mine. I reached for the pen. My hand shook violently. I let her see the fear in my eyes, the absolute defeat of a daughter realizing her mother was a monster. Malia exhaled, her shoulders relaxing. She thought she had won. She thought she had broken me. She did not know I was left-handed. And she did not know that Penn was not going to sign a surrender. It was going to sign her warrant. I picked up the Mont Blanc. The weight of it was substantial, expensive, likely bought with the same stolen funds that paid for the champagne outside. I hovered the tip over the signature line of the conservatorship agreement. Malia watched me like a hawk, her breath held, ready to snatch the paper the moment the ink dried. She was already mentally spending the rest of my trust fund. I did not sign. Instead, I flipped the document over to the blank side. In calm, block letters, I wrote, Title 31. U.S. Code. Section 5324. What are you doing? Malia snapped, her patience fraying. Sign the front, Sully. Do not play games. I set the pen down. The trembling in my hands vanished instantly. I sat back, crossed my legs, and looked her dead in the eye. The fear was gone. The unstable daughter was gone. The only person left in the room was the senior forensic auditor. Mother, I said, my voice flat and clinical. Do you know what a SAR is? She blinked, confused by the sudden shift in my tone. What? A suspicious activity report. It is a document banks are federally required to file when a customer attempts to evade reporting thresholds. Like, Say, making 9 separate withdrawals of $9,500 over 3 weeks. Malia's face went rigid. I do not know what you are talking about. It is called structuring. I continued, ticking the points off on my fingers. It is a federal felony, and since you used my power of attorney to move those funds into your personal account to pay for this venue, you also committed wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. I reached into my purse. Malia flinched, expecting a weapon. I pulled out a blue folder, not the thin envelope of a greeting card, but the thick, bound report of a forensic audit. I slid it across the glass table. I did not come here to negotiate your surrender, Mother. I came to serve you. She stared at the folder, her hands shaking now. You cannot prove anything. You are sick, Dr. Aris says. Dr. Aris is a psychiatrist. I cut her off. I am an auditor. Math does not have episodes. I tracked every dollar you siphoned. I mapped the flow of funds from the trust to the wedding vendors. I will put it back, she hissed, her voice dropping to a desperate whisper. I will pay it back next month. It was a loan. You cannot turn your own mother in for a loan. It is too late for that. I checked my watch. I submitted this evidence package to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division and the Trust Protectors 48 hours ago. I did not freeze the accounts earlier because I needed you to cross the $100,000 threshold to ensure mandatory sentencing guidelines applied. I leaned forward, closing the distance between us. You are not my guardian anymore, Malia. You are the subject of an active federal investigation. And that fake concern you used to imprison me? It just became the motive for your prosecution. Malia looked at the folder, then at me. The color drained from her face, leaving her looking old and terrified. She realized then that the glass room was not protecting her from the crowd. It was trapping her with the truth. Malia stared at the forensic audit report, her face a mask of panic and disbelief. Then, abruptly, she laughed. It was a brittle, frantic sound that echoed off the glass walls. You are bluffing, she spat, pushing the folder away. You think you can scare me with some printouts? I am your mother, Sully. You will not send me to jail. I will just pay it back later, once the investments mature. This is ridiculous. She grabbed the audit report and ripped it in half, throwing the pieces onto the floor. See? It is gone. It is your word against mine, and everyone out there already knows you are unstable. She stood up, smoothing her dress, regaining her composure. Now, are you going to sign the conservatorship? Or do I have to call the police to escort my sick daughter away? Before I could answer, the ambient lighting in the glass room flickered and died. Then, the harsh, white house lights blared on, illuminating every corner of the estate with unforgiving brightness. The music outside cut instantly. The door to our glass cage opened. It was not security. It was Cole. He walked in, not looking at me, but staring directly at Malia. He was wearing a tuxedo, but he did not look like a guest. He looked like an executioner. Mrs. Sterling, he said, his voice calm and terrifyingly polite. I am Cole, managing partner of Venture Capital Holdings. Malia blinked, confused. I do not know you. Are you with the catering staff? We own this estate, Cole corrected. And 10 minutes ago, my finance department informed me that the final payment check you issued for this venue just bounced. That is impossible, Malia shrieked. I wrote it this morning. There is plenty of money in that account. Not anymore, I said, standing up. The moment I submitted the evidence to the trust protectors, they invoked the suspension of benefits clause. Every account connected to the trust, including the one you have been siphoning from, is now frozen by federal order. Malia looked at me, then at Cole, the reality crashing down on her. No money meant no wedding. No wedding meant public humiliation. You cannot do this, she whispered. I did not do it, I replied coldly. You did. And there is one more thing. I pulled a final document from my purse. It was not a subpoena. It was the trust deed itself. You know the bad boy clause, Mother? Section 4. Paragraph C. Any beneficiary found to have committed a felony against the trust forfeits their entire share to the remaining beneficiaries. I leaned in close, letting her see the absolute finality in my eyes. By stealing my $85,000, you just legally gifted me your entire $2 million inheritance. You did not just lose the wedding. You lost everything. The silence in the room was shattered by Cole's voice. He did not yell. He just projected with the authority of a man who owned the ground we were standing on. Security, he said into his lapel mic. Clear the building. This event is cancelled due to fraudulent payment. Escort the guests out, now. The room erupted into chaos. Waiters stopped pouring. Guests grabbed their purses, whispering, eyeing the exits. But the loudest sound came from Savannah. My cousin did not rush to her mother's side. She did not ask if Malia was okay. She looked down at her dress, the one bought with my stolen money, and then glared at my mother with pure, unadulterated hatred. "You promised!" Savannah screamed, her face twisting into something ugly. "You said you had the money. You humiliated me in front of everyone." "Savannah, please," Malia begged, reaching out. "It is just a misunderstanding. Do not touch me." Savannah swatted her hand away. "You are a liar and a thief. I hope you rot." She stormed out, her heels clacking against the glass floor, leaving Malia completely alone in the center of the room. That was the moment Malia broke. She looked at the retreating guests, at the security guards moving in, and finally at me. She realized she could not charm her way out of this. She could not gaslight the bank. So, she chose violence. Malia grabbed a champagne flute from the nearest table. She did not throw it at me. She smashed it against the edge of the table, shattering the crystal into jagged shards. Then, without hesitating, she dragged the sharpest edge across her own forearm. Blood welled up instantly, staining her navy dress. "Help!" she screamed, her voice hitting a pitch of hysteric terror. "Help me! She is attacking me! My daughter is crazy!" She pulled out her phone and dialed 911, sobbing theatrically. "I need police at the Glass estate. My daughter, she has a knife. She is trying to kill me." The remaining guests froze. Security hesitated. It was a masterclass in manipulation. She was banking on the crazy daughter narrative she had planted for years. If the police arrived and saw her bleeding and me standing there, they would detain me. The narrative would hold. Malia dropped the phone and lunged at me. She was not trying to hit me. She grabbed the diamond brooch on my lapel, the one I had been adjusting earlier, and ripped it off, tearing the fabric of my blazer. She threw it on the ground and stomped on it, crushing the delicate metal. "There," she hissed, her eyes wild with triumph. "No evidence. It is my word against yours, and I am the victim." I did not move. I did not fight back. I just waited for her to finish panting. "You are right," I said, my voice calm enough to cut glass. "That brooch is broken. But look up." Malia paused. She looked up. "Cole owns this building," I said. "This is a high-security facility. There are 16 4K surveillance cameras in this room alone. They do not record to a hard drive you can smash. They upload directly to the cloud in real time." Malia looked at the ceiling. The red LEDs of the cameras stared back at her like unblinking eyes. Her face crumbled. When the police arrived 3 minutes later, guns drawn, they did not find a frantic daughter attacking her mother. They found me, sitting calmly with my attorney on speakerphone, and Malia, manic and bleeding, surrounded by broken glass. Cole met the officers at the door. "I am the property owner. I would like to file a formal complaint for trespassing, destruction of property, and assault." I stepped forward. "And I am filing a complaint for filing a false police report." We did not need to show them the video right then. The scene spoke for itself. The officers looked at the jagged crystal in Malia's hand, the self-inflicted angle of the wound, and the pristine condition of my clothes. "Ma'am," the officer said, pulling out his cuffs. "Put the glass down." Malia screamed as they cuffed her. She did not scream for a lawyer. She screamed my name. But I did not look back. The blue and red lights of the police cruiser faded into the darkness of the Pacific Coast Highway, taking the noise and the chaos with them. I stood on the balcony of the Glass estate, listening to the ocean crash against the rocks below. The wind was cold, but for the first time in 10 years, I was not shivering. Cole walked out and handed me a glass of water. No champagne, no celebration, just clarity. "It is done," he said. "The police have the footage. The trust protectors have the audit. She will not make bail tonight." I took the water. "Thank you. You know," he said, leaning against the railing. "Most people would have signed that paper in the glass room. They would have paid the ransom just to stop the noise. I used to pay it," I said. "For years, I paid with my silence." I looked down at my phone. Malia's contact info was still there. "Mom, society tells us that family is sacred. People say blood is thicker than water, as if shared DNA is a suicide pact. They tell you to forgive, to keep the peace, to be the bigger person. But they do not tell you what to do when the person you are protecting is eating you alive." I thought about the cancer metaphor my therapist used once. A tumor is made of your own cells. It shares your DNA. It is, biologically, 100% you. But if you do not cut it out, it will kill you. You do not keep the tumor because it is family. You excise it so the rest of the body can survive. I tapped the screen. Block contact. Then delete. "What happens to the house?" I asked. "It is yours now," Cole reminded me. "The trust forfeited her share. You own the venue." I looked around at the glass walls, the modern furniture, the stage where my mother had performed her final act. "Sell it," I said. "Sell it all. Take the proceeds and start a scholarship fund for financial literacy. I do not want a dime of it. Understood. I walked back toward the car. I did not have a mother anymore. I did not have a family estate. I did not have the comfort of the lie I had been living. But as I drove down the winding road, leaving the glass prison on the cliff behind me, I realized what I did have. I had my name back. I had my sanity. And for the first time in my life, the silence in my head was not loneliness. It was freedom. If you have ever had to cut off a toxic family member to save yourself, share your story below. You are not alone.